Hi guys, Tugu here with a new video, and this video will be my top 5 most excited classes to play in 10.1.5. Now, not everything is like perfect for 10.1.5. Again, I think PvP, they should address a few things outside of balancing, but I made videos about it. Now, it's a very positive video. I want to share what I'm actually excited for in 10.1.5. But before we start, please subscribe to the channel. We do PvP content. We do now a bit of PvE actually with the new series I'm doing right now, and also World of Warcraft content in general. And we are trying to do a series like a very true 0-2 hero with my mage. We have already 3 videos out. I think 2 videos are going to come out today after this video. And in general, I think I'm having a lot of fun. We've also like doing a big tutorial for a lot of new players. So if you want to check that out and try to help those new players to get to this video, of course, do watch those videos as well. Now, let's start right away with talking the top 5 most interesting classes or things going on in 10.1.5. Now, I may say I might be biased, but I'm actually excited for Mage. There's a lot of changes, and I think most changes are actually good, and there's a lot of things going on, like changing on the talent tree, that are actually very interesting, and I'm looking forward to like just seeing a lot of things actually being removed or baseline. For example, invisibility, shifting power going before the first tiers of talent, so you will have shifting power most of the time, I think all the time even. You can even go for an ice block, which is not really an ice block anymore, it's like ice cold, which now reduces 70% of the damage you're getting from your enemies. So I think it's good for PvE, because again, if you're ice blocking you don't do damage, but if you're doing ice cold you might do damage as well. So it's actually a good thing, I guess. We have also mass barrier, which is also fun, I think, like appealing for multiple allies, especially in PvP, might be quite good, but also in PvE. And then you have mass invisibility for any spec, so frost, fire, and arcane. So you have a few things that are actually very nice. Arcane, you have a lot of things actually baseline now, and you have more possibilities to make like big builds. Now I do think there is like not really a lot of variety in PvP, but again, you can make variety whatever you want. Fire is actually looking fire. So the pun is intended, so please do laugh. But fire is actually very nice. So I saw the talent tree. I feel like they're going to the right direction to not only go about the burst of a specific like combustion go, but more like also the consistent damage that is also going to go higher. So I think it's also a very good thing. You will be consistently also having more combust times because of a lot of like CDR onto the kit, CDR, which is cooldown reduction. So it's actually very interesting, and I'm actually looking forward to. Also, Meteor now is a fire spec ability, so you cannot have that as Frost or Arcane anymore, but it does not split anymore. So it will do regardless a lot of damage, so you don't have to think about like, look, I'm going to try to do a single target Meteor, but with a lot of pets it's actually very hard to do. So I think that's a very good thing as well. And also a lot of like placements on the talent tree is actually changing. I might make a video about mages in the future. So we have in the future, it might be next week or something like that. We have also frost mages getting changed. A lot of things are like getting more damage increase, but also like more paths where you can go more of a frostbolt build, or you can go for a ray of frost build or a glacial spike build. And I think the ray of frost build might be very strong, because you can have a big ray of frost because of the stacking ability that you can have every time you're consuming a Fingers of Frost, and it will do insane damage. I tested it on the PTR, it was quite nice, so I do recommend to see for yourself frost mages. Also having now the water element elemental whenever you're doing icy veins, which is super big. Also icy veins now at 2-minute CD, so it feels also more nice to have like a cooldown more often. So I think it's a very good thing as well, and in general it feels like there's a lot of changes and you're going to enjoy trying it out, and I think it's for the better. I think a lot of things are actually changing for the better, and I can't really remember something where I'm telling myself like, this is really a bad change. That's not going to happen with a mage. Now, the second class that I'm actually excited for is actually a spec for Paladin, and it is Holy Paladin. Holy Paladin is getting a huge rework. I know that a lot of fans of like this channel, viewers, subscribers, are actually Holy Paladin mains that are actually a bit fed up with the current state of Holy Paladin. Well, they really changed it for the better. Now it's a lot more aggressive. It's a lot more old school, I would say, even too. Like if you played Holy Paladin before, like Dragonflight before BFA and such, this is really going to be a great way to rekindle your love for Holy Paladin. A lot of things are actually going very well for them. Glimmer of Light now, and the healing and the damage is increased, so it's now even better to actually like get those Glimmer of Light procs on multiple allies or enemies. I really like it. Multiple new talents. So again, Daybreak is going to be awesome. I can recommend you guys to test it on the PTR, but as a whole, more healing, more accessibility, more damage, I would say more agency as well. I think it's a very, very good spec. And many players are going to probably flavor of the month Holy Paladin, but I would say the more healers we can have, the better. I think it's just going to be awesome to have it and to test it out. I think it's going to be very, very strong. And as a whole, I'm going to play also Holy Paladin because it does feel like it's going to be very fun to play. And in general, with all these changes, I think they will go into the right direction. Now, is it going to be OP? I do not know. It seems to me that it might be very strong, maybe S tier or A tier, but I might make a tier list in the future whenever we have the full like change list for every single spec in class. It can be that next week there will be another balancing changes for other classes, like for example rogues, which do need very, very much like a lot of change, like for example assassination rogue, outlaw rogue. They're just like out of the patch notes for a very long time. So I think Holy Paladin is going to be very awesome. I look forward to actually try it out. Now, my third spec that I'm actually very, very excited for is actually the Warlock specs, actually a class. So Affliction Warlock and Demonology Warlock. Demonology Warlock is going to get a huge rework actually. They're going to be more focused around the Felguard. Again, it's going to be very strong, but also you will have like a Shadow Bolt spec with Demon Bolt, and I think it could be very fun to play now. I think a lot of people are actually a bit mad of like having to cast, but I think Demonology Warlock is now in a state where they're very strong and they are really not punished. I think if they actually are casting for doing damage, it's going to be easier to stop them, but also more satisfying for Demonology Warlock to do a lot of damage. I think Warlock is going to be very nice because you have like 3 great specs. Destruction Warlock, which is a very good spec overall. I've made countless videos about it. I think it's my favorite spec of all time, although I prefer the previous iterations. It's still like one of those classes that I'm really, really fond of. Affliction Warlock, which was my all-time favorite way before in Cataclysm or even in Walls of Draenor. Right now, like in Mists of Pandaria, excuse me, not Walls of Draenor. I think right now the iteration is not that good, but they're going to the right direction. I think Xavier's Gambit, again, more damage on Unstable Affliction. They're trying to really give Unstable Affliction more damage. You have also now a PvP talent that is going to reduce the damage of Unstable Affliction because you can now spread, you can already spread it with the PvP talents, but now if you're going for a single target damage like build, you can do that. You will have like a 25% more damage modifier on PvP, and the 25% less damage on 3 targets is going to be like a net negative, right? But the good thing is you can go for a single target build, and that's always what I wanted for Affliction Warlock, to be able to burst someone if you really want to kill someone. And I think I might try and dip my toes into this build. And I really think it's a very fun like way to play the class. Now, is it going to be the best iteration of like Affliction Warlock? I do not think so. I think just in general, you really want to go back to the Cataclysm days. I don't think it's possible though, with how raids are put out and Mythic Pluses are put out. But if there is a reason or a way to actually go back to the good old days of Affliction Warlock, it might be a very good spec to play. But I think with all those changes, like for example, Malefic Affliction actually removed, and having Xavier's Gambit, Dread Touch, Doom Blossom, all those things are actually very nice to have. Now, when Seal of Corruption damage targets suffering from your unstable affliction, they explode for shadow damage. I think it's going to be very strong to even go for a Seal of Corruption build, even in PvP, like PGs, for example. But let's see what they're going to do. Also, reduce cost time. And demonology Warlock, like I said, it's going to be a lot of changes. You can play around on the PTR and also on the wallhead. You can have like the 10.1.5 blue post, or not blue post, but like the talents, and you can just play around it. I think it's going to be very fun to do. Now I think we are at our third. Now my fourth one is actually the DK specs, and I know I really go hard on DK specs more often than not, because they're like in a terrible spot, but the changes are actually looking pretty fly. Now I know a lot of people are going to read the first few sentences and they say they're going to buff, but this is not a buff. This is like straight up a nerf. They really want to nerf the modifiers because they want to buff the consistent damage. They think that the damage right now is alright. It's just how they deal damage that it is the problem. And I think it's really a problem. They are right. I think it's better to nerf the cities and to put more power into the real thing, which is the kit. And so we have like nerfs for Pillar of Frost. We have nerfs from the Frost Whelps 8, which you may not take anymore. Maybe you will. Bone Grinder is nerfed as well. The Shattering Blade is also nerfed right now. But all those nerfs are going to be compensated with like base kit like being improved. Like for example, Frost Strike will go 15% more damage, which is always nice. 12% more damage on Obliterate baseline. So whenever you crit, it's going to be even higher, right? So this is like a baseline damage. If you're doing like, let's say 10k normal hit, it's going to do 12% more damage than that. And if you're critting, it's going to be even more. So you should think about that as well. Obliterate damage is now increased by an additional 60% when Killing Machine is not active in PvP combat. So it's going to be even more damage, even whenever you don't have Killing Machine. So it's going to be very strong. And there might be a world where you are not stacking Master anymore. It might be like Haste, or it might be like maybe Crit. Crit is nerfed in PvP, so I don't know if Crit is like going to be viable, but Haste is for sure going to be viable. Remorseless Winter going to do 80% more damage, and you have still modifiers for like Remorseless Winter, so you can really do a lot of damage. Like these plus these is going to be actually like a net positive. Howling Blast also buffed by 30%, and there is no nerf to Howling Blast, so it's going to be hurting a lot. There's like a build where you can go for a Howling Blast build where you can do some great damage with that. Frostbite is like AoE, nobody's really taking it, but they're buffing it in PvP combat anyways. And Glacial Advance, I think you're not taking it anymore. But since now it's buffed, maybe you will. We never know. Unholy DKs are going to get like buffs and nerfs here and there, but in my books it is a buff. They're going to buff the applications from Festering Wounds, from Ruptured Viscera, but also the damage from it, the explosion from it. They're going to nerf the buffs from Dark Transformation, and also they're going to nerf like Slappy Hands. But great thing is they're not going to nerf Virulent Plague anymore, so it's going to do a lot of dot damage again. Festering Wound is actually increased by 310%. I think it's a typo, but if it's not a typo, it's going to be insane. Death Glow is for some reason a typo, so now it's 25%, it's not 125% from what I've seen on the forums. But it's still, all those things are actually buffs. Scorch Strike increased, Clawing Shadows increased, so you can have like one of those two and you're going to do very well. Reaping is now again nerfed, but I think as a whole it's going to be a really cool thing. You're not really playing with reaping anyways, but if you are playing with reaping, you can really make some great executes builds around there. And reanimation is now dealing less damage because it was a bit busted, and unholy assault haste bonus is now effective by 50%. So they try to not over buff it. They're really trying to see, look, if we're buffing it, we need to nerf a few things. I can understand that, but the main thing is I see that Army of the Dead is now usable in arena and rated battlegrounds, but Raised Abomination is now removed. So you have another PvP talent that you can use. I don't know if you're going to play with around Army of the Dead anymore. It will be played, but it's not going to be insane. But I think as a whole, like the DK specs are going to be like on the forefront of 10.1.5. I think changes are going to be very interesting, and you're going to play around that, and hopefully you do enjoy to play around that. But anyways, that's my opinion. And the last but not least, the thing that I'm actually excited about, and I'm probably going to level 1, Evoker, but more precisely, I will be playing augmentation. I think augmentation will be very fun. From what I've seen on the PTR, from what I've read, it will do less damage than the normal DPS player, and it will do less healing than the normal healer, but it will be a fantastic support player. I think in 3v3 augmentation will be very fun to play. I think in social fight will be very fun to play. I think in 2s it will be very fun with another DPS, not with a healer. I think in RPGs is going to be very fantastic. So as a whole, I'm actually very excited by those classes, but especially augmentation, which is a very new spec, middle of expansion. I hope they can actually do the same for demon hunters, like put a third spec, or I don't know, put like other classes with an extra spec. They might do that maybe for next expansion, who knows? But it would be very nice if they actually did that. But anyways, those are my top 5. I do not really have a lot to say about augmentation. I think it's the unknown that really interests me to a certain extent, to try it out and to maybe play it more and make guides about it. But right now, I mean, we'll have to see whenever it is going to come out, right? The balancing changes are going to be live. Everything is going to be live, but you will be sure to hear that on this channel. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you love that content. Also, we making a series, again, a 0 to hero with a mage, fire, frost, and arcane. We're doing mythic plus. We're going to do mythic plus. We're going to do PvP, and we're going to do raids. I'm going to try to make content about it, but also show you guys how to improve with a unknown spec or unknown class, or with a class that you're actually bad on. I'm going to show you how you can improve very fast and how you can actually progress through the tiers, through the ratings, through everything to actually get to the best level. Again, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Be sure to stay safe. We will catch each other very soon in the next video. Have a good day. Bye.